Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Leadership Lounge with Marlowe Foster. Non-profit leadership is personified through God the Father's choice to give his only begotten Son to suffer death on a cross for forgiveness of all sins. I cite C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe as charitable metaphor. Here are the words from Lewis. If the witch understood the true meaning of sacrifice, she might have interpreted the deep magic differently. For when a willing victim has committed no treachery, dies in a traitor's stead, the stone table will crack, and even death itself will turn backwards. I know that there are many listening believing I'm being rather dramatic. How do you compare the sacrifice made by Christ and the leadership he demonstrated to the nonprofit community and the lack of real leadership? Here is where I stand. As my pastor says, as people of faith, we are required to press in. We are required to live this life in community. We are required to engage, support, and lift up the least of those. Oftentimes, especially for me, this is not natural and not the most comfortable, but it is required. And if you, much like Jesus, are not as committed to the sacrifice, to pressing in, to taking up your cross, then walk away from your nonprofit. You are doing those you serve a disservice, and they deserve better. I am passionate about being a counselor at PAX Global because it is a blessing to be engaged with those nonprofit leaders who are truly committed to building better lives for those that they serve. Now here's the rub. Most shun the dirtiest of dirty work. Most are more comfortable not making themselves vulnerable or humble. Most refuse to bear the burden of their daily cross. Make no mistake, for those that are true leaders, faith-driven or not, agnostic or not, or whether they realize it or not, they get stuck in the muck and stuck in the mire. They accept the burden of the cross. They are vulnerable and they are humble and they speak the truth. So what are the truths about nonprofits? Quite frankly, most boards are dysfunctional. Few nonprofit boards serve their true purpose. Executive directors and CEOs are not given the appropriate latitude by their boards to truly lead. Money is more important than mission. I repeat, money is more important than mission because without money, there is no mission. Donors are the primary customers because again, without money, customers are not served. Like most other places, many in the community are just collecting a paycheck, and that is wrong. And finally, accountability is missing. As leaders in the nonprofit space, it is time to press in, people. It is time to address these truths and provide solutions for these truths. And through pressing in, it is high time to transform lives. As my listeners know, my podcast is seasonal, fall and spring. I take the summers off. During the spring season, I was blessed to interview leaders who truly pressed in. William Moore, Executive Director of the Eleanor Crook Foundation, which focuses on global malnutrition and undernutrition. Allison Strickland, Chief Development Officer of Interact in Raleigh, North Carolina. Interact saves lives, rebuilds lives, and creates safer futures for those who are victims of domestic violence. And Bob Gefeller. Bob started a nonprofit focused on pediatric brain trauma after the death of his son from a head injury and neck injury sustained in a high school football game. Pressing in, taking up their cross, delivering in the dirt and in the muck. Truth be told, there are no secrets here. True leadership is about hard work. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Jesus, the ultimate nonprofit leader, was so anguished by what his leadership required, he sweat drops of blood. And while none of us can compare to his leadership and the ultimate sacrifice he made on the cross, the question I have for you is, are you even trying? This is the Leadership Lounge with Marlowe Foster.